These sellers are killing it with their quilted baby bib sales, and so can you. Hi friends, Tracy here from the Sewing Channel. Today's video is all about sewing and selling some boutique type items. I think it's time to up your game when it comes to sew and sell. Sew and sell boutique item is sure to sell big in your sew shop. If you want your boutique bibs to turn out like these, then you better hurry up and grab my pattern. There's actually a 2-for-1. You can get the regular type bib or you can get this adorable scallop bib. Enough talking already. Let's get busy making some boutique bibs to sew and sell. For this demonstration, I'm going to use this little fat quarter bundle that I did pick up at Walmart. You can see it's perfectly coordinated. This is going to look scrappy, but yet totally put together. On this particular bib right here, I went with that blue colorway, and it's the same exact set of prints, but just in a different colorway as the one we're going to work on here. What I want you to take note on here is that there is definitely a focal point in this bib, and it's right here in the center, you know, where you're going to be looking at the baby, you know, well, the bib's on its neck. So once you find that center point, then it's going to be like a log cabin effect all the way around. And you can see the back here. I just took 2 of those prints and just sliced them in half, so that way there was, you know, the contrast there. This one doesn't have the cam snaps on it yet, but it will by the end of this video, I promise. Find out what you want to showcase here on the center of this bib. Now on that one, I did the rose. Remember, this is the same print, just a different colorway. So on the front of this pink one, maybe I will do this in a butterfly. I think I'm gonna go for the rose still. Just because I don't think I can work out fussy cut in this. It's going to be too big. So even if I just took the butterfly and those, you know, it's just going to be too big. So here I'm going to just try to cut what I want here. The main thing I'm looking at here is that these leaves right here and the tip of that, I want to make sure that that shows on the bib. So I want to make sure that there's at least a 1/4 inch around that area, because that's the seam allowance that I'm going to use. So I'm going to come up a bit on that stem, so it's going to get cut off. And then come over to the side and just give it a slice. So there is the center. So it's kind of almost identical to that. So I've cut out 6 pieces from those fat quarters because I wanted to show you how I put this all together. Okay, so if you are no good at making scrappy anything, in my pattern, I give you this picture with all of the dimensions of these pieces. So that way it'll help you maybe get your first one started, and then you can just go off from there. So what you're gonna do is connect that together to that one and trim. You want to press though first, and you're going to connect that one to that one, and then you're going to connect in the center down here this strip. These 2 you're going to sew together. I did fussy cut this little butterfly there, and I'm going to connect those to that, and then when that's connected, it'll be like that. And so that's kind of what it looks like if it's straight on. We are not going to do this straight on. We're going to go like this, and we're going to angle this entire piece. And this is what I want you to do, is take your pattern piece and lay it on top and check to make sure that everything fits. Now I know I have excess here, and that's okay because all that's going to get cut off. What I'm looking for is that I have a centerpiece and that I don't have too much going on in the neck area, although it's really easy if there's seams going into the neck, you know, to sew that up. So that's not really a big deal. But yeah, I'm just checking here, and it just looks much better at an angle. And you don't even have to perfectly put it so it's, you know, point up and down. Just slant it, even ever so slightly, will give it so much interest. So you're going to sew all this up and then press it. So here's what I have so far, but I wanted to pop in here to show you something. Before you connect this top piece on here, especially if you fussy cut, you know, like I did here, that cute little butterfly. You're going to put this up here like at 1/4 inch, you know, because that's what's going to be eaten up there in the seam allowance. Recheck where you're going to connect those two together, because we want to make sure that we clear this right here. Now, if we weren't doing scrappy, you wouldn't have to worry about this. If you were just doing one piece, you just cut the piece, you know, to fit in a rectangle. And I definitely want the butterfly to show. It's right under there. And of course, there's our rows, and we want to make sure we get all of the fabrics in. You know, and that looks good. We're meeting our sides, so that's really good. For those of you that don't quilt and aren't familiar with what a log cabin piecing is, it's a center focal point, and then what you do is add the fabrics around it. Although I did add the 2 pieces to this focal point first, and then I added this, but typically in log cabin quilting, you would attach this, then this, then this. Of course, that wouldn't be here then. And then this piece would have to be the full length to match that. So I hope that makes sense. And then you would, you know, of course, attach your top, which would make it like a log cabin piecing. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. So, and I'm going to hold that and just flip that like so. And then sew those 2 pieces together at 1/4 inch. So here's our piece all sewn up. And again, we're going to check that, and that looks good. So while I have it here, I'm going to cut off some of this excess right now so it's out of my way when I go to quilt this. So I'm just going to freehand that and cut that, and then come down the side. That way I'm just not over quilting, and it kind of keeps me straight. Once you have this front piece all scrapped up, then you're going to grab your batting, and again, all the dimensions are in the pattern. You want to make sure that that is covered. Make sure that I'm not off on the batting on the side, which I am a little, so I'm going to shift this. Make sure that you have, you know, enough on batting on the sides there. All right, once you know that you're going to be covered, then you're going to take it to your sewing machine, and you're just going to put some top stitching along all these lines, and you're going to go through, and I'll show you how to do that. Now, you don't need a special foot or needle for this. Just use what is in your sewing machine. And this is just my 1/4 inch foot. And here I'm just going to grab this stitch line here, and I'm going to come to the left of it a little bit so that this presser foot is lined up right in the center, going down where that seam is. And I'm going to continue all the way through. And come back up, and I'm going to come to the right of it now. Now this presser foot is coming right down the center. Now I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to catch this line here. But now I have to guesstimate where that is. So I'm going to start down here and then work my way all the way down. Then come right next to it. Come over here and guesstimate here. Grab this one on the side. And then I'm going to come up here and do one. Let's see, let's put it, we're going to go at a slant. Yep, you can slant, you can do whatever you want. You can even grab your pattern piece and lay it down just to see where everything is going to lay. You can check to see if maybe you might need another stitch line somewhere just to add if you have a, you know, an empty space, which I do up here. So I think I'm gonna come across and do one right across there. And you can see the lines on the back there. Looking good. Next, we're going to work on the back of this bib. Here I've taken just a couple of triangles, and again, all of the measurements are in the pattern. And I'm going to sew those two pieces together, because when you put this on here like that, it is going to fit perfectly, and that's exactly what we need. Make sure that when you put these together that you press them. So I did fussy cut this, so you can see I'm going to have that in there nice, and I'm also going to have those flowers going up the side. When you get it where you want it, then you're going to grab a couple pins and steady this on these pieces. Once you get everything on there, you need to figure out where your opening is going to be. On these scallop bibs, you want your opening to be somewhere between here on the inside and here, because it's on a slight curve, so it's a little bit tricky, but it's not really. So let's see. Hopefully I'll put this on the pattern, but it's going to be there. So, because you want, you know, a good amount. And then what you're going to do is extend this out a little bit. What you're going to do is add in an extra 1/4 inch or so right there, because that's not, you're not going to cut this area in here. I always allow myself a little bit of a flap when I'm tucking anything in, because, you know, sometimes it wants to wiggle its way out as you're working with it. It's just better to have this, and nobody's none the wiser. So then you're just going to continue around and you're going to trace this onto your fabric. So I'm not going to show that on camera because, you know, I don't want to bore you too much. So I'm going to shut my camera off and do this. So when you are all done tracing out this bib where you want it, you're going to take your pins out, set your pattern aside, and then you're going to cut out this piece by hand. Yeah, I know, I hear you all, but you know what? It has to be done. It's tedious to do that, but this is the way I did it. You do it however you want to do it, though. And I'm using my small scissors because I'm going in and out of these curves here. And curved scissors are definitely a must. Now, if you have a little tiny rotary cutter, you know, you could do that too. Probably that would work. I do have one somewhere, but I don't know. I don't know where it is. Now make sure you follow these curves really good, because you want your curves to be really nice. I'm going to cut off that dog ear right here while I'm here. Okay, I'm not going to show you all this on camera here, but let me just show you this part. So when you get over here, remember that mark we made off to the side there, that extra 1/4 inch? Remember to put that in there. So let me cut this out and I'll be right back. So now bring back in your piece that you quilted and you're going to lay that face up. And then you're going to take this piece here that you just cut out ever so gently around each of those scallops, and you're going to put that right sides together. How you lay this piece right here, right sides onto this, is going to matter what is shown here. So pretend like this is your template and you are fussing it around where you want it to be. Because remember, it's identical to this right here, this template, because that's how we cut it. If you want a little bit of that peeking out, make sure you do it. And once you have it, you're going to pin this piece to your quilted piece. Now remember this area right here that we left extra out. That is where we're going to turn our work. So we don't want to sew in that area. So we're going to start sewing here and go all the way around until we get back up to here where we put that notch right there. And we're going to stop, leaving this gap right there. So you're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. So I'm actually going to start here at the top of this notch right here because it just feels better to me as I'm going to be turning it. Because remember, we're going to be going in and out of these scallops. So it's going to be like sewing like scallops, just like that. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to be sewing a 1/4 inch seam allowance off of this piece here. So my foot here is a 1/4 inch from the edge in. Well, it's a scant 1/4 inch, so yeah, that's okay though. So I'm going to start here at the very edge of where that notch is. And I'm going to take a couple stitches and then I'm going to go back. Come again and go back again. I really want this spot to be nice and tacked down because when we go to turn it, I don't want it to stretch. So now we're just going to go around this curve, keeping our 1/4 inch seam allowance. You're going to stop a lot, lift up, pivot, sew, lift up. These are the only tight spots here at the end. You know, everything else is pretty easy. But you want to maintain that 1/4 inch all the way around. If you go too short, you are going to risk these threads coming out, popping out when you turn it right side out. So really try to keep that 1/4 inch even when you do the scallops. Let me get this out of here so you can hopefully see better. So I'm going to come up. I see that my scallop is, hopefully you can see right there. It's underneath my presser foot right now, that where it dips down in. You can even lift this up to check it. And then you're going to pivot. And when I pivot, I'm right there on my seam allowance, still being a 1/4 inch, right there on the edge. Just go nice and slow. Lift up. And then if you aren't clearing that, if you're overlapping that, when you pivot, you might need to put another stitch in. The other thing that's important to note here is to do just under a 2 millimeter stitch length, even 1.5. You know, that'll help secure these two pieces together. Take another stitch and pivot, and then I'm right there along the curve. So here's that notch right here, and we're going to come up just past it just a little bit, and then we're going to back stitch really good there a couple times. Okay, once you have it all sewn up and you didn't sew over that area, hopefully, go ahead and take out your pins, and you should have something that looks like this. Now what you're going to do is go and cut this out all around that scallop. We're not going to cut any notches in here until we're all done cutting out this scallop. So just follow the same exact scallop that you cut out for this piece right here that you see with the butterflies. We're keeping that 1/4 inch in there. Now to get this curve right here, I'm going to go ahead and grab my little snips. And we're just going to go ahead and cut out the notch for the quilted piece as well. That'll make more sense here in a sec. Now come to these scallops where you see them going inward, like there's a little scallop there. You're going to trim right up until you come just barely from that thread, from the stitch line. Don't cut into the threads though. And then you're going to come over here and you're going to cut like, you know, that excess off so that it looks like that. So you're going to cut into that, all that excess out of there. Just barely right in front of those threads. Now you're going to go in on this neck area and you're going to snip into that a little bit without cutting the threads again. Don't cut the stitch line. We're just going to give this some air in here so that when we turn it, it's not going to look as bulky, and it will fold over nicely right around the neck. And this area where it turns, but be careful, don't cut up into there. Now you can also, if you want, you can literally take out like the bulk if you want. I didn't see too much of a problem really on the ones I've made so far, but you can just go in and take out notches. Well, it's up to you. So now it's time to turn this bib inside out, and to do that I'm going to use this Turn It All tool. It says the original bow whip. I don't know, my mom gave it to me and it seems to work pretty darn good. So I'm all for that. So I think it's these two pieces that I'm going to use. I really don't know how to use it, but I've kind of taught myself, I guess. So I'm going to go in here to this area, and I'm going to try to grab this one over here first. So I'm just going to open this up like I'm separating with my fingers. I'm trying to get to that other side. Trying to open that tunnel up, so to speak. And then I'm going to just turn this down. So I'm going to turn that into itself. I think this is how you do it, right? Maybe not. Maybe I put this in here. No, that's right, I think. See, I really don't know how to use it. But let's just troubleshoot this. So I'm going to stick, yeah, just like that. So you're going to shimmy that in there like so, I think, right? And come out the other end maybe. So this thing, well, how does this work then? Oh, I think this is when you, so I can maybe put it in there and push that like that, maybe. Yeah. Or there's another way too. I'm not sure. But anyways, that worked for what it was. And you can use one of those reusable straws too. You don't have to go out and buy this, you know. Try not to stretch this bib too much to get that to be right side out. Now we're just going to go in with our dowel here, and we're going to work out all of these scallops. Or if you have like one of these tools here, or just like the turning tools, like Clover sells them, you know, everybody sells them. I got, this one though I got at the dollar store. I got like in a pack of like a bunch of these blue plastic tools. So you can get them really cheap too. So all I'm doing is just gently pushing with this dowel so that all of my scallops are scalloping. So this is what you should have so far. Looking good. I could have lowered that one a little bit though, huh? Oh well, it is what it is. Let me give you some tips for pressing these out because you want it to look very professional. So what you're going to do is take a nice strong pin. This is a nice thick strong pin, and you're going to pull out those seams as far as they'll go because we don't want anything hiding in there. And we made them tight enough so they're not going to pop, so don't worry about that. So we're going to push them out as far as they go. And as we're pushing them out, before we continue on with that little pin, we're going to press that so that that stays nice as we go. So I'm just going to pull that out. Sometimes it's hard to get the pin in there because we sewed it so tight. And that's good. Once we get that one, go ahead and press that so that stays. And we're going to go around the entire bib like this because we want our scallops to look beautiful. We don't want them to look tucked in or misshapen or anything. We want them to look like what we made them to be. See how that's tucked in there a little bit? We're getting that and we're pulling it out. Don't skip this step, friends. This is what's going to make or break your bib's final outcome. It seems a little tedious, but that's how you're going to get top dollar and you're going to get repeat customers. with this one. Trust me, this makes such a beautiful baby shower gift. Oh my goodness, especially if they know what it is. And if you don't know the gender of the baby, just use the other pattern and, you know, use things that are more unisex. Like you could do characters or something, you know, I don't know. Don't be shy either. You used a nice stitch length, so you go right in there and you pull that out. Because you'll be sad if when it's all said and done and you're like, well, wait a minute, how come that one's coming in a little bit? Well, it's because you didn't, you know, get it all the way out. Now, since you put those notches in this neck area, you're going to notice that it's going to lay nice for you. Turn it over too and check the back side. Make sure you're good to go there too. Now when you get to this area right here, remember we had an extra 1/4 inch where that opening was. First you got to make sure these are all, make sure your neck area is all out like it should be. You're then going to take this and tuck this in to begin with and give one of the sides a beginning press there. Flip it over and you can take your pin if you want and get that tucked in there. Remember, you have some wiggle room because you have extra here, which is phenomenal, trust me. Now what you want to do is check these. Now you can see that this one is wider on this side. So that tells me that, visually anyways, I need to tuck more. So I'm just going to go in and just a little bit more, give that a tuck. And it's okay if it's measuring wise a little bit bigger or whatever. I mean, no one's going to really notice that if it's just, you know, a little bit off. And you're going to flip it and you're going to come in on this one. You can take your fingers kind of and get it to go where you want it to go. So you can pinch that there and just add a clip so that that stays nice for you. Next, what you're going to do is take it to your sewing machine and you're going to lengthen your stitch a little bit. You can go to just over 2 maybe millimeters in stitch length, and then you're going to start here and you're going to go up all the way around every single scallop and you're going to add a top stitch on. For the top stitch, I'm going to make sure that this edge of the presser foot is sort of in the middle right there, coming along the edge. And I'm going to back stitch. I'm holding this right here closed. Make sure that it doesn't roll underneath you either. I think mine just did. Oh well. I'm going to keep going. Go nice and slow and top stitch all of your scallops. Let me see if I didn't do that. Yeah, I came in a little too close there on the back, but yeah, it's all right though. It's okay. It's okay. Now, in order for this to hold up in the wash, we need to connect this piece with this piece in this bulk area. Because if we don't, things could get, you know, a little bumpy and lumpy, and we don't want that. When I turn this over, if these two fabrics were connected down here, I would stitch along there and put a top stitch, you know, right in the center here. Since that's not the case, I have to put one over here so I can see it. It doesn't really matter which side that you put it on. You can make another one on this side, which probably that's what I'm going to do. Put my needle down, then up, lift up, and pull that thread up so I don't get a little nest on the bottom. So there's that line there, and actually let's do one over here too so that we kind of connect it all together. Needle down, then up, and lift your thread, and that brings that thread tail up. So now you have this X here, and that's going to hold everything in. You really only need 1 or 2 stitch lines, really. 2 stitch lines at minimum, I'll say. And yeah, okay, let's get this hardware on here. For my bibs, I made it adjustable. So one, you know, made it tighter around the neck, and then the other, of course, expanded it just a little bit as the child grows. So if you do it my way, then you will need 3 of these cam snaps right here, 3 of the flat round sides that are smooth. Oops. And then you'll need 2 females and you'll need 1 male. And I utilize a pin to help me get those holes where I want them. These you're just going to eyeball. I'm going to take this cutie pie bib right here and use this as an example. Look at how cute, right? Oh my goodness. I can't wait to see my darling Julia in this one. What you need to do is figure out which side is going to be used most, right? And yeah, as much as I like these cows and this milk right here, I do think that Julia is going to wear this side more often than not. I want this smooth side to be on this side. So this round piece here will go in here, and you'll only have 1 on this side, and that will be the male. And then you'll have 2 females over here. Here's the other side of this male. And you can tell the male and the female, of course. You can see how that male comes up and out, and this female is hollow inside. So this will go on here like that. And then these 2 pieces will go with these 2 flat pieces down on this side. And they'll go in there like that. Then you will have your 2 females over here like that. And so this male here will be able to snap there and snap there. I hope that that helps give you an idea of what I'm about to do here. So let's go ahead here and make the male side. Now for that, you just want to find the center in here, and I just eyeball it. You can even bring this over here and see where you would like that, you know, somewhere toward the end, but not all the way up onto that seam there. And I can even make a mark with that point there and push it in there, and it's right there. So the next thing I'm going to do is just poke this through. And this is standard for any cam snap that you do. So I'm going to poke that through. I'm opening up that hole in here. So I'm just kind of stretching that a bit. And then I want this pokey right here on this side to go in. So where I stretch that out, I'm going to push it through right there. And you can see it's coming up through. You can even turn it over. And you're going to push with your finger, or if you have a tool, push that down right there so that that is nice and snug in there. So then I'm going to take the male side here and I'm just going to slip it right on top of that pokey part. In order to get these to clasp together, you do need a pair of cam snap pliers, and that's what these are right here. And you can see it even says cam there. So there's a smooth side, and it's this black side right there. Well, that is the piece that you want the bottom, that shiny smooth side, to go right in that. And I'm just going to ever so slightly kind of put that together without much pressure at all. I just want you to see this, how this sets in here. Now, I'm not squeezing anything just yet, but you should be able to slide freely just by holding this down with a little bit of pressure to where you know it's in there right. So I'm able to lightly put tension on there, and then I'm able to twist that. Once I know that that is twisting in there freely with just a little bit of pinch pressure, then I'm going to go in and squeeze it. And then when you squeeze it, you can see that they are together. Nice, nice. So then we're going to flip it around and we can see that that's there. Let's work on the first knot. This will be the loosest part of this bib. So we know it's going to go somewhere sort of in the same place that this went. So I'm just going to take my pin here and I'm going to pop it sort of right in the center there somewhere. Now you can still change this spot too after you've put your pin through it. I'm just going to check and see that that's definitely where I want that. So if I put that like that, it's going to end up like that. How cute is the back of that? Oh my goodness, with that check. Oh dear, it's so cute. So that's going to be fine for me there. So I'm just going to loosen up this hole here and expand it by pushing this needle and swirling it around and stretching those fibers. But this time I'm going to make sure that I come in from the back with this smooth side. And I'm going to poke up through the front, so to speak, or the side that I think, you know, is going to be used a lot. I don't really think it matters which side, you know, you're going to be using the most as to where you put your snaps. I don't know. That's just the way that I did it, my thought process. So you do it however you see fit. Remember, this is a male over here. So what needs to go over here? What goes together? A male and a female. Yep. So that's how you remember that. So I'm going to pop that female right on top of there. And then I'm going to gently come in and remember what I did before. I gave it just a little squeeze so I could let go and make sure that that disc, that round part, is in there good. And then I'm going to twist it around. I'm moving the fabric, not the pliers. And once I see that it's moving with a slight pinch here, then I'm going to go in and I'm going to squeeze it so that it stays good. And then there's that. And then you can snap it. And it's together. How cute is that, right? Just like that. Now we're going to go in and make a tighter bib. I'm going to flip this over. So probably I'd say about right there is where that one needs to go, because it looks good right there. So I'm going to push and poke through that pointy part right there, just enough where it's going to give me an indent, so I'll know where that's at. Once I have that, I'm going to come in where that was, and I'm going to poke my pin through. Once you've poked that pin through, you're going to loosen and expand. And then you're going to grab that pointy end of this, this side's the smooth side. And then you're going to pop that through the hole that you just stretched. Just take your time and work it. The fibers are tight there, and I don't think you want to cut that. I just as soon spread those fibers and get it in there, and that way you'll know that, it's not going to come undone, or it's not going to unravel toward that pointed area. So now you're going to grab the other female and put that on there. Grab your cam snap pliers and kind of set it in there so that you know that disc is in there. We're just pinching slightly on the pliers, and we're freely able to move that fabric in and out, twist it around. And when you know you have it, then you're going to go in and squeeze as tight as you can. You really don't have to squeeze that tight with cam snap pliers because it kind of does the work for you. Here's this right here. We're going to snap the first one. Perfect. And now we're going to snap the second one. Perfect. So now you have an expandable bib for your babes. It's just that easy, friends. Now let me know in the comments, is this just not the cutest bib you've ever seen? I mean, my word, it's so stinking cute. Check out the screen right now. I have a playlist full of sew and sell videos just like this one. Click on it and we'll see you in the next tutorial. Until next time on the Sewing Channel, take care.